He's saying the stream is not online on yours. I have your thing selected on here.
Yeah, it's trying to there. It's trying to go live. It should be live now.
It's trying.
Yeah.
There you go. So and also I should I don't think he would mind. He sent me Matt did some of his photos here.
I was on that. I saw it.
Let me see if I could get these pulled up. It seemed like he had a great time. His Lolz merchandise did not show up in time, but he improvised, as we are known to do around here. And it looked like he had a great time. Him and his bro checking out the sites in Philadelphia. Let me get a little share screen here. We'll live vicariously through Matt's experience. Started off in Reno. He was making the rounds. That's actually a very cool shot with all the hot balloons there.
Yeah.
Downtown Philly. Very nice.
That building.
This poor guy felt so bad because I sent him Lolz gear that he decided he had to walk around with this cardboard sign like a DFS podcast homeless man. In front of the Liberty Bell. You love to see it.
That thing's cracked.
I know. They got to fix that, Brian.
Yeah.
They do.
Hope they didn't do it.
Listen to Lolz. There we go. I absolutely love this. Okay, so this is the setup here. This is what you missed out on, Brian. That could have been you enjoying this experience here. Lovely sights. Benny Franks. Nice fountain. What's up, Matt? Love.
Oh, was he sneaking on being skeevy there?
Come on, Brian.
Come on, Matt. Don't do that. Don't do that,
Brian. It was just
a
coincidence.
Okay.
Let's cut him some slack here. Can we spot anyone? Can we spot an Osmo? This is like a DFS Where's Waldo, I feel like. I don't know if we're gonna be able to spot.
Let's see. I can't. Let me guess. A bunch of white nerds.
Brian, save it for the show. Philly's ballpark here. Here's Matt. Hi. It was just nice to have a place to stay for a few nights. Whistles was a popular guy.
Okay. Was everyone trying to talk to Alex and Whistles or what? What happened?
Yeah, let us know in the chat, Matt.
What happens to you, Pete? Like when you go to Vegas?
What's that?
So what happens for you when you go to like Vegas, whatever? Do people come up to you?
So it was kind of funny because we were out there for ship chasing, and it's this weird thing where everyone out there knows who we are, but a lot of them don't like us. So it's like this thing where, people would we would be in a draft and people would be making references to things we've said on shows, but it's not like I want to come and take a picture with Pete. It's like, oh, these are the assholes that have a different fantasy strategy than I do and think we're idiots. Like that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Is this
I might be miscategorizing it, but that's how it feels a little bit.
Is this like a season long?
Yeah.
Bro issue?
Oh, I didn't see this one. You did it for the community. Look at that. Philadelphia Eagles locker room. Right above it, community. You love to see it.
Wow.
Super Bowl champions. This could have been you, Brian. You passed up on this experience.
And you know how I love fandom and things like that, yeah.
Brian, you would have been first one in putting your hands in for this group cheer.
Ugh.
They're doing something where they're gonna say 1, 2, 3, go team. That could have been.
Yeah, you know what would have been the worst? I wouldn't have done it, and then they'd be like, "Come on, let's all get in here. Let's all get in here." I'm like, nah, I don't want to fucking do it. And I was like, "Fine, all right."
Oh man, Brian, you should have seen the things I've had to do in my life during improv warm-ups. The amount of team camaraderie building I've had to sit through.
I'm like, I'm not on the team. I quit. I'm not on the team.
That's pretty cool. Got to go on the field there. I feel I should know who this is. Do we know who this is?
The masks. The masks really don't help with the
Matt, who is this?
Celebrity photos. Is Matt 6'5" or something? And maybe that's like a cornerback or something?
I think Matt's pretty tall. I get the vibe. He's like, okay. We probably should have known that. Brian
Westbrook was 5'10"?
Yeah. That's a paid actor. The DraftKings couldn't afford the actual Brian Westbrook, so they had to get
they got an actor named Brian Westbrook.
Yeah. looked like you had a great time, Matt. Congratulations to winning just a horribly organized giveaway on our part. But it seems like, Brian, we did a good job getting the tickets into the hands of someone who had a great time and enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was cool, right? Like, it was cool on DK. Thanks for letting us swap those so someone could go and enjoy them too. So
if you guys are going to try to shame us for not knowing who a football player is that has a mask on, I'm sorry. I can't help you out there. I refuse to be canceled. Oh, a guy named Philly is upset that I didn't know. Okay. I'm sorry.
Look at his avatar though.
All right. I'm going to send you guys photos of sports legends wearing masks, and we'll see how many of those you guys can get right. Be a good contest for you guys. It's always like when you see like the people in Evan Silva's mentions when he has a football take, and the guy who's always outrageous, like you're trashing the Bucks, and then you go read his profile name and it's literally Bucks Lover 69. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's a religion.
How was your otherwise though first week of NFL action? I want to actually real quick say, Brian, I see a trend where people post screenshots of winning stuff, and I swear to God, your name is always in the screenshot. Not necessarily, the bride, but you're always a bridesmaid in a screenshot that I see.
Oh, I haven't seen any of those. I did get screwed though from the Millie in the $100 Millie. I took third, and
that's the screenshot I think I saw.
Yeah, it was the fucking Pats, of course. They had what first and 10 at the 11 on the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
So the Pats and the Chiefs games were the last ones left, 2.5 minutes. I'm in third, down like 4 points. And I had James White, Waddle on the bring back.
Was that a late swap or the original lineup?
Original lineup. And a Chiefs double stack.
No bring back?
No, I don't think so. Who they played?
The Browns.
No, I don't think in that one. Anyways, quite a bit left for 4 minutes, but I wasn't sweating. I was driving, and I got back, and I was just like kind of like getting ready for Sunday night, and I'm like, well, let's just see what I'm doing here. I'm like, oh, this looks like a good one. Like, holy shit, I got 5 guys left, 2.5 minutes left, 4 points, and then Damian Anderson fumbles.
Brutal.
So even if they just kick a field goal and White doesn't get another couple points, I could still probably get a couple catches.
Yeah.
And then I go to red zone, turn on the Chiefs game, and it's like, Mahomes is in victory formation. I'm like, fuck, nothing. Wow. So I got like 0 points. It was probably like more than 3 minutes left in both games, and those are the only 2 games left. So it was like pretty ideal spot for a little push there. It's not guaranteed, obviously, but what are you gonna do?
Did you have that lineup in any other contests?
Yeah. I took all the 150s.
Yeah.
Except for the late it's so stupid. I didn't fully register for the late $20 100K to first one. Like they posted it, I don't know, Saturday or Sunday morning. And I just put a couple in there, and then because I didn't know what the payout structure was or anything, and I was busy, and I just never got around to maxing it. And I still know what the payout structure is, but I would have won that one.
So you put your same 150 set in multiple contests?
Yeah, whatever, the three or four 150s, I just put the same ones in there, and then
yeah. What did you have any insights, after you were getting your football model ready to go? Anything surprised you as far as ownership or things the field was doing or stuff you learned?
No, I just let it run and put it in there. Cash went pretty well. I think I picked the wrong lineup in cash and got a little lucky, honestly, and broke. I won like $1,000 or something on Yahoo. Like basically broke even. Super draft, I lost. I saw your thumbnail from your video. I didn't watch the video, but it sounded like things didn't go so hot for you.
Yeah, no, I didn't do. I mean, I only had a couple of lineups though. You know, if I had 150 lineups like you, Brian, I'd win every single day. No, I was happy with my overall constructions and stuff. Circling back with the Mahomes double stack. So I assume you didn't have a rule to force a bring back in that?
I don't make any rules.
Really? The sim is taken care of.
Right. It should all be taken account in there. In theory, I might be wrong. Hopefully not. But yeah, if I otherwise, if I was just doing Fantasy Cruncher, I would kind of let it naturally happen with the Fantasy Cruncher adjustments you can make.
Yeah. Yeah, because the way the way I understand it, right, is like the correlation is giving you a bit of a boost. It's making those other players slightly more valuable than equally projected players in other situations. But when your sim is not putting the bring back, it's saying we're identifying spots where the value is even better, even though the Browns are getting a correlation boost in this lineup.
Yeah. Yeah. I was listening to Blender's latest podcast with them and like the game theory rationalization is kind of how like I describe how a lot of guys do it, which is not like a bad way to do it. But it is a lot of rationalizing, not to be insulting, but like because you're like, okay, this guy will be low owned because of this. So it's a good spot to put him in. And like, yeah, probably, maybe, I don't know. But like, you really can't tell till you figure out all the interactions. So like, maybe it's not enough. Maybe that double stack isn't enough for that to be a good lineup. Like, double stacks, like there's a lot of correlation there, but is it enough? Right. And so like, that's like, I don't want to guess. Although it's all guessing, and it's to some extent, obviously, but like, I don't want to do it myself. Like, I don't want to go like, okay, now what about this one? Okay, is the Chief stack worth it because they're so high priced that not a lot of guys are going to put them in there, right? Something like that, would be like a perfectly reasonable thing to think. But how do you really know? How can you tell? Where's your feedback coming from? So that's why I like Sims.
And I know you can't, it's hard to, fully articulate, what's going on there. But when I hear you say James White and Jalen Waddle, in my head, I'm like, oh, secondary mini correlation. That makes so much sense, targeting that game. But you're not touching that. The sim is landing on that on its own.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And White was not owned at all. That could be a mistake too, but it ended up in there.
Yeah, that's it. And so are there then tweaks that you are going to make to your model going forward, or is it just in a place where it's now just putting in like the new data from week 1?
It'll always be updating something.
Yeah.
Hopefully nothing crazy, but yeah, small updates, but you can't overwhelm it because I still do it on my PC. And so the more you get, the slower your PC goes. But like, that's how, you want to, if you could simulate an actual game, exactly what would happen, not exactly what happened, but like somehow if the universe could replay this game over and over again, the closer you get to that, then you're just going to end up printing all the money.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, how do you think about that? Because, so for me as a hand builder, relying on the kind of tried and true correlations helps eliminate the amount of decisions I have to make where, even if I could pick off, low owned plays. I could look at projected ownership. But then like that would still like leave a ton of plays for me. And then then the correlation is really what helps me narrow down the pool. And then it's like me just putting the puzzle pieces together that I, kind of prefer or whatever. How do I because I feel like that is the biggest trap. Like, I don't think I would have ever been able to hand build a Mahomes double stack without the bring back. Is it impossible for a hand builder to kind of land on that construction in a smart way?
No, I don't think so. But like I said, it's like, how do you know? How can you tell? Like, that these things make logical sense. Yeah, and we're kind of talking vague here, like, but people who play DFS or best ball know what we're talking about, right? Like the correlations between the players in the same teams, the negative correlations, like between a defense and the opposing quarterback or opposing players in general, the players on opposing teams. Okay, all that. Great. Or leverage, and how to properly define that. And okay, all that stuff, but how do you quantify whether it's worth? And I did that correlation for skill video a year and a half ago, and it's basically still the same idea. Is okay, so say you take all the greatest game theory ideas, but it's the high school quarterback and wide receiver, right? Okay, well, the high school quarterback and wide receiver are going to get fucking smashed. You know what I mean? You'd much rather just take Lamar Jackson and Tyreek Hill, even though there's no correlation there.
Right.
Right. I'm just making up players, obviously, but it's when does that skill level or projected points, or however you want to define it, makes outweigh doing something else.
Right.
And you're just guessing.
You're guessing because unless you have a sim, it's impossible to know how many points that correlation is worth.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 ways. So you're guessing, you're making a sim, or you're using historical data. And then from historical data, you'll adjust your process however you want to define that. Yeah. And then from there, it'll populate lineups for you.
Yeah. And that's the thing too with those, one of the reasons too I loved now using the Run the Sim stuff I did my first Showdown slate show on Thursday, and just getting to change the macro inputs for game flow and seeing the type of lineups it was spitting out, where it's it's getting you closer to understanding the levers that are being pulled to get you there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And now you're not guessing as much.
Right.
Yeah. I saw that show, and it was giving you a lot of 5-1 stacks, right?
It was.
And a lot of times, if you just go optimizer and showdowns, that's not going to happen.
A lot of 3-3s and optimizers.
A lot of 3-3s, 4-2s, and optimizers.
That's the other thing too that it's fun for me, because last year when I was building 20 max with an optimizer, I was kind of building through those stack combos, right? I would run 5-1s, run 4-2s, 3-3s, trying to get a variety. But it almost feels like a scattershot process. I enjoy that sim process now more of let me pick a specific game scenario, and then the sim will tell me which of those constructions is optimal for that projected game flow.
Showdown's the perfect example. So in football, you don't have to think about in classic, you don't have to think about defense versus opposing quarterback, right? You just don't do it. In showdown, you have to at least consider it. I mean, I do it, but I could be, someone can argue against me, I guess. Okay, now you can't just blanketly throw some game theory thing and say, no, you can't do it, because there's going to be so many combos where in classic, you never play defense against quarterback in a GPP, right? So the sim, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know all the inner workings of Run the Sims, but that will tell you, even putting this defense is still a top 20 lineup against the opposing QB, which will happen all the time, right? Or it'll say, I'm just making stuff up here, or it'll say not the QB, but you could still play 3 other guys from the other team. You know what I mean? The cheap guy or something. But at least you're not guessing as much.
Yeah. So then because that's the other thing that for me, so I was messing, around with those. I was getting different game flows. Raiders win by 10. They lose. Oh, what happens if Ruggs has the big target share and not Waller, yada, yada, getting very different lineups. And then that gives you the path that you want to take on your hunch. When you're running your sim and you're putting out your lineups, is your sim making one of those macro assumption, like how is that working when you can see that the lineups are so different based on whatever angle you take with that from the macro standpoint?
Well, I can't do mine like that, Run the Sims, where you change the score.
Okay.
Mine is more on like our last show or whatever we did, where it's just the distribution. We'll have all those outcomes in there, and then it'll figure it out from the distribution. So like you're kind of like, your term's bullying. I like to say tricking, but like either way, it's the same thing, where you're kind of tricking the sim to this new score and then picking the best ones from that one.
Would you say your sim then, like when you're outputting, say, your 150 lineups, it's giving you the best 20 lineups from Raiders blowouts. It's giving you the best 13 lineups from a really close game. It's giving you the best 4 lineups when Henry Ruggs is the highest scoring player on the slate. Is that kind of like the menage of lineups you're getting out of that?
I'd have to like look at them more closely, honestly, but I think it's what I hope I'm trying to accomplish is factor all the interactions that go on, and then it'll pick from there the top 150.
Mm-hmm.
And you could do it from a whole bunch of different ways, like EV or ROI or some other metric.
Because I'm just thinking of it, and I know this is a very simplistic thing, but say I'm, bullying, tricking the simulator there, and say I'm playing lineups in the scenario where the Raiders win by 14 points. I have a very simple rooting interest in this game. Like I know the kind of outcome I want. Like when you submit your lineups, and I know you don't like sweat football in this exact way, but do you know the general type of game flow outcome you're rooting for your set of 150?
No. No, I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah. I think that's just what's interesting to me, because it just seems like the lineup sets can change so much based on just a few small assumption tweaks.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. Which is why randomness can help you.
Yeah.
So you can get some non-optimizer answers, because like 14.75 points versus 12.5 points, it's pretty hard for the optimizer to overcome that. But in reality, it's just, a little more expected catch or touchdown chance. It's not a big deal in football.
Yeah. How did your kind of ownership line up with the field? Is your ownership pretty dialed in week 1, or were there some weird stuff that surprised you?
I'm not doing football ownership.
Okay.
Personally. But I thought I was going to be pretty chalky, but I think it was pretty solid. I was fine with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it the more like I was pushing in this direction last year. And I feel like I'm even going to get more like radical on like main slates, especially of just being like super contrarian. Like I just feel like there's so many players, there's so many spots. And like if you think about like how would you think about this for like perfectly efficient ownership? Like, wouldn't it be just way, way more flat and spread out than it is? That like basically all the situations, or a lot of different situations, have a similar probability of reaching like a slate winning outcome or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, again, you're going to have to guess here.
Right.
But like, I definitely don't hate ever being contrarian to a point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And taking some shots.
Yeah, it just seems like, and I guess it is a little different earlier in the season, because I think we're even guessing way more on usage. We're taking like just little nuggets from off season, preseason, and then trying to extrapolate. I think those bands like start to tighten just as we get way more of a sample size. But man, at least these first few weeks, it just is really pushing me in the direction of being way more contrarian.
Especially if it leads you to second half plays. Because people are not adjusting.
Yeah.
And so if you can adjust in the second half in your hand building like you are, and you're only playing a few lineups, that seems like a no-brainer, easy EV solution.
Yeah. We have Petty Theft in the chat. He's asking you, did Brick not like week 1 as much? Surprised to see him not max the 100 milli maker.
Yeah, no, that was on purpose. I don't like any or dislike any week, but the million to first, 100K to second is like just so much variance in your bankroll that it's just a habit. And now I just won't max those. Like I'm not even sure if we should be playing them. The $100 ones, maybe, yeah, and that's the one I took third in, so I got 50,000 instead of $1 million. Like just because you have an edge doesn't mean you have the bankroll to handle the variance. Like I've used the example before, like you can have an edge in the lottery when the Powerball rolls over 100 times or whatever. Like technically you have an edge on every dollar you invest, but not even Jeff Bezos has the bankroll to withstand the variance.
Yeah. And just to confirm, when you say second half plays, you mean the
late games
slate? Yeah.
4 Eastern, 3 real America time.
Yeah. I was in the situation where it's like I had set up for some late games. Like if I needed to if I wanted to, my pivots go the other direction. It's like if I do so well, I can pivot my contrarian lineup to an Alvin Kamara. but I'm so dusted that my naturally already contrarian lineups, I just have to let.
What was Landry owned? Like 3% or something?
Yeah, I think it was because his salary was a little pricey. But I guess with the context of with Odell getting ruled out, maybe he should have been a little bit more attractive.
Yeah, I bet if Odell was ruled out a day before, like he is now, he would have been over 3%.
Well, and it also goes into like talk about
Peoples would have been really high on.
Yeah, but even this thing about overconfidence, like I was tracking everything in the preseason, writing up blurbs. Donovan Peoples-Jones on the Browns, just literally it was like every other day I was writing up a blurb about how good he looked and the team raving about him, blah, blah, blah. They come out, you think Odell's out. Okay, this is Donovan Peoples-Jones' time to shine. It's Anthony Schwartz. Schwartz is getting all the downfield targets, getting all the work. It's like we don't know anything in these situations.
So I took third in the second half, afternoon games, whatever the Wildcat is for that one.
Yeah.
With Donovan Peoples-Jones in my lineup.
Really?
Yeah. So one more catch and I'm 100K instead of 20.
And in that scenario, it doesn't really hurt you because no one else, it's not like people are leveraging Anthony Schwartz on your, Donovan Peoples-Jones.
No, I just wanted him to get a catch so I can make money.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So, okay. So you're grinding all the 4 p.m. slates as well.
I like in football the first 6 weeks. Like probably I don't know, week 10 I'll start considering not playing cash. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the beginning, like this is the most popular sport by what, Pete? 10 time? Like football's really popular.
Yeah. I know the answer to this question, but I'll let you answer it. For Nate, if you don't max enter, do you manually choose the lineups you enter in those contests?
Generally, no.
You're talking to the guy who ran functions everything in his life.
Yeah.
No, but I do understand the question he's saying. So from your 150 set, are you just randing like 20 if you're putting 20 in something instead of the 150?
I mean, there's a little bit of a process there, but like I've said this before, I'm trying to dial that in to where that's automated as well, and I don't have to even think about it.
Yep. Because
there's a big difference between a 1,000-man GPP, 1,000 opponents, and 180,000 opponents. I don't even know what the size of those ones were.
Yeah. Andrew, which, by the way, happy birthday, Andrew. What was Brick's cash lineup difference that he thought wasn't optimal?
I should have the 3 cheap wide receivers I didn't do. And then
would just tell people what cash lineup did you roll out?
I did Allen instead of Hurts. That was probably a mistake. I don't know. And then with that, then I did Kamara, CMC, Mixon. So I mean, I like that. And that all those guys sound pretty good, right? But then that changes your you can't get. I don't know, Kelsey. I'm assuming. So I had Kittle.
A lot of people played Kelsey in cash. Everyone's playing Pitts in cash.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pitts. Yeah. I had Pitts, Callaway, Jones Jr., and then Higgins. So Higgins was probably a mistake.
I don't know, man. I feel like that was the sharp build, getting up to one of those receivers with a little bit more target expectation, because everyone was punting it off with the fairly thin plays.
It was Cooks and Hurts, or Mixon and Allen too, like those. So I don't know. I think though, in hindsight, that the Elijah Moore, Callaway Jones wide receiver is probably the way to go.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, Marquez Callaway. He was pretty popular. He looked like one of the better values on the slate.
Yeah, he had to be on like.
No, I feel like you made some of the. I think Hurts obviously was the sharp play, but getting off of Dalvin Cook to go down to Joe Mixon. I mean, that was one of the sharper plays you could make.
Well, thank you. I don't know, and in hindsight, I don't like it, even though I won.
Well, I think because everyone got funneled to that same construction of, it was just, how rare is it on a slate where you can jam the 3 best running back plays? We're not going to have, 3K wide receivers every week. And so I think people just got enamored with that build, and just getting down to Mixon and allowing you to get up to Higgins just gave you, not only, like, I was listening to Pat James. I was listening to him talk, and he had a very similar lineup that you did, although I think he had Hurts instead. But he was just saying, just by being slightly unique off the really duplicated chalk, like, build that, like, it makes it so much easier to win your cash contest. Like, having just the slightest GPP mindset to cash games seems like there's a lot of value to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get off Pitts. I'm like 4,400. That's too much. I again draft him in my best ball teams. We got Gerardo Mozart. Yeah, Mostert. So like Mostert, he was chalkier than I thought. Like, there wasn't a lot of time, and he got up there. But I looked at him and Davis with the injury news. Those were 2 options of switching. And in my chat, Scott McCarty says, I'm crunching way more than 150 and whittling down from there. Correct? Yes, exactly. Make a whole bunch of lamps and then pick from them.
Greg wants a peek into your cash process.
I have a private forum this year in my Discord, and we go over all the optimals and then come to a consensus.
Do you, with that forum, are you letting some football guys who have their hand a little bit more in the dirt help you break ties when the numbers are negligible?
Yeah, I kind of usually it comes pretty close to just a 2v2 or something. Yeah, and then we're just like, whatever. Did you hear anything? What? And then just a small little discussion group to make, because so I don't think simming for cash games is a great strategy. Usually what happens is just the optimal wins anyways. And in a sim, the interactions you're using, although if you've never done them, are really, there's a lot, and it's time consuming. It's hard to do, but it's really not enough for cash games, because you really need to know what's going on in football, right? That to add that into some sim would make it really slow and complicated and not worth it, I think. But to do a cash game sim, I think that's the proper way to do it. Like, you need to know a lot of shit. Like I don't know, like who's gonna, like, injury chances, and who's gonna backup chances of starting and stuff. Like, you need a whole lot more than what you're really trying to solve for in a GPP in a cash game. But again, the cash game's not my specialty. Although I play a ton of cash. Like, I play everything on Yahoo, everything on Super Draft.
Do you want to plug this Discord? How do you get into the circle of trust?
You probably can't.
That was what I was wondering. I'm not even in the circle of trust.
Yeah, I posted it. You could have been in it. Yeah, if anyone who we know wants to be in it and wants to, but it's not like questions and answers. Like, we're going, we're posting optimals and trying to figure out what the best optimal is.
Yep, that makes sense.
The consensus optimal, not like how do you win in a triple up versus a double up? It's like that's not for this forum.
I know. I will say I didn't even play Cash this week, and I don't plan to play Cash, but I do like talking about it for some reason. I think it's interesting.
And like, I don't know, I just think the edge right now is just that it's a super popular sport and there's a bunch of noobs playing it.
Yeah.
It's not as big as it used to be because all the content's much better. But I think for the first 6 weeks, you can make a couple points off of it.
Are you scooping? Are you exclusively posting? What's your cash post strategy?
I think the best strategy, if you're not a cash game expert, is to play any cash game with like 60 or more players. If it's 150 max cash game, you might want to stay away from it because all the pros are going to 150 max that, so it might be disproportional. And it looks like there's a lot of opponents. And heads up, whatever. Do whatever you want. Heads up. I just post whatever, not much, $1,000 or something. Heads up, and just if they take them, they take them. I don't care.
Did you? Are you with your cash game stuff? Are you in the higher stuff going through and making late swaps as needed?
No, because I'll only play like $250 max cash game, maybe the 530.
And it's just not worth your time to individually go look through.
In football, I'm not concentrating that much on cash games. It's seriously pretty simple strategy. There's a lot of noobs right now. I think I can make a couple points with not a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I block Rinpack? We're not allowed to talk about
Yahoo,
right?
Rinpack, what are you doing, dude?
We don't talk about Yahoo. Zip it. Speaking about shining a light on things, you had a take on this Opensea scandal. We talked about it a little bit last night on Club Top Shot. It was kind of breaking at the time, a little bit of insider trading with a Opensea employee who is basically front running buying and flipping projects before they were placed on the front page, obviously giving those more exposures, giving them a bit of a boost. I really appreciate your take. That wasn't even where my mind had gone, but tell people what your tweet was referencing.
The problem with it for us anyways, isn't that he was, kind of a slimy move. It's that there's going to be news stories written about it. And then from
are. Yeah.
Is there? I didn't.
There's big ones already. Yeah.
Okay. And then from that, eventually the state will want to get involved.
Yeah.
And, I said, enjoy the wild, wild west. I'm like a broken drum here. I've been saying this for a while now on Maddox podcast too and stuff. In my opinion, there's no way they're leaving this stuff alone. Obviously, they already went off to crypto, and that is from what I read today, that bill that everyone was up in arms about that went from the Senate and then to the House, and then no one talks about it anymore.
Yeah, I was literally going to ask you what was the follow up on that.
They haven't passed it out of the House yet, is my understanding, but it's going to pass out of the House.
Refresh me and maybe viewers who aren't aware, what are the implications of that bill?
It was they were trying to fundraise for it's in the infrastructure bill. Like the crypto, of course, is for some reason has to be in the infrastructure bill. And the idea is to pay for the infrastructure bill somehow. And of course, they need to put crypto in to pay for this infrastructure bill. And so there's like a tax implications. But one of the main problems is that they define like miners and all sorts of people in the crypto world that have to do this KYC stuff and like figure out like information they don't even have and provide it and have that provided to, I'm assuming the IRS, but some agency. And so everyone was up in arms over it, passes the Senate, goes to the House, and then everyone seems to forget about it all of a sudden. And it sounds like that's going to pass. That's not DeFi and NFT totally. It's related, but it's not. They're just behind. They don't know what this shit is. You know what I mean? So like the more they've realized what it is, and then they get the people, their allies, which are the big corporations, chirping in their ears. There's going to be more. There's going to be more and more regulation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I saw Andy had a couple he kind of hinted at this take last night, and I guess we didn't get to talk about it more, but he was saying he didn't necessarily view it as insider trading. To me, it seemed like quintessential insider trading. I don't know if it's a semantics thing. How did you view it?
Yeah, I mean, so this is in the Liberty Bro world, this is something that's talked about a little bit. So like I look at it as there's the legal portion and like what should be done. So like I think you can have the opinion that it shouldn't be illegal, but he should still be like, I don't know, fired or censured by his employer. That's how I'd want it to be handled. Insider trading is kind of just assumed like this horrible thing because it's not equal, right? You didn't have an opportunity to benefit off the information and he did.
Right.
I think that's debatable. So, okay, obviously, like, I'm not defending this guy. You shouldn't do that. But insider trading, I think, is it's a little overblown. So, like you could also change the scenario. Like, let's say you overhear someone on a phone call, and then go trade on that information. You're outside. Should that person go to jail? And just because something's not equal doesn't matter. Like, I'm not equal to LeBron James. That doesn't matter. That doesn't mean I should play for the Lakers. I'm not. I shouldn't work in a laboratory just because I'm not good at science. Like they're better than me at that. So like, just because something's not equal doesn't do it for me. And the other argument is, okay, who's the victim here? And there really is no victims, because in insider trading, this is the argument anyways. The victims would be people who were going to buy shortly afterwards, like assuming he increased the price.
Yeah.
But missed out.
We dumped on, yeah.
But there's also the other people who were selling, who saved money, who made money, right? Because this is the equilibrium of the market.
Right.
So in theory, it should benefit and hurt the same amount of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like using your example of like if you heard a random phone conversation and were able to act on that, akin to finding $100 bill on the ground, versus if you used your access and you were like, I don't know in this analogy what it is, like a security guard who then knows like where people traditionally drop their money, and he's going and using that to like, I think it is that kind of, it's all not insider trade, but the insider information that you have access to that you use maliciously.
Right, but I would say not maliciously, just in a slimy way, because there's no well, maybe malicious does count, but there's no victim. So and then the argument is, okay, he's contributing to price discovery. So like, we don't think about it very frequently, but like me and Pete aren't handy guys. So let's say there's some handy item we have to go buy. We don't know how much it costs. We don't know anything about it, but we know that if we go to the store, we're probably going to get about the right price, right? Like the guy, like for us, we're idiots in this industry. It could be $1,000 or $10. We don't know, but through price discovery, we know that if we go to Walmart, we're going to get about the right price. Mm-hmm. So when he's trading on this, he just gets there first, but he's making the market more efficient so people aren't getting fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if we continue to use that analogy of like overhearing a phone conversation, is technically everyone, in that vicinity could have had the same fortune to overhear that. But in this Opensea case, like only someone who works on the back end that knows what's going to be put on the front page is privy to that information. There's not like a meritocracy to that information.
Yeah. So the what he did, it's way more slimy than overhearing something.
Yeah.
And also is probably insider trading by the legal definition. I'm just saying, just the libertarian case of whether inside trading is such a horrible thing. In general, should it be a law? Because, most, if not all violent crimes, I don't think someone should actually go to jail. Mm-hmm. I think it's a waste of money Like up in New York, it could be $150,000 a year per inmate to house them and feed them. I think it's they don't contribute, they don't pay back their debt by sitting in a cell. In fact, it probably makes more criminals by, learning and commiserating with other more violent criminals. And also, as we've said before on this podcast, it can get pretty violent in there. And so it's cruel and unusual. So just like generally speaking, it's like the same thing with the drug war for me. I don't think I wouldn't do heroin, and I hope people would choose not to, but the drug war has been a complete failure and causes more problems than it helps. So I don't approve of the action, but I don't think he should go to jail. So like I think it should be like handled through the employer or through another problem is there's no insider trading on the current like national level at stock exchanges. There's no competition on stock exchanges anymore either. So previously, not even that long ago, each state, or most of the states had their own stock exchange. So Hawaii had its own stock exchange, and they would use to fund the proceeds that they would make from that to fund the infrastructure on the island. Chicago's had its own stock exchange, probably went away about, I don't know, like 15 years ago. Detroit had its own stock exchange back in the early 1900s that helped fund the car industry and the boom of that market. And then through regulation, so they kept making the barriers for becoming a publicly traded, on a federal level, publicly traded company higher and higher and higher, that they just stopped going to these local stock exchanges. And they said, if it's going to be this hard, we'll just go to the big one. Let's go to the New York Stock Exchange. So like this would have been a way to punish companies is,
I think you were playing a little bit of a devil's advocate with this argument, but he's bringing up, are those Congress people just improving price discovery with that analogy if for congressmen doing insider trading?
No, well, I mean, by definition, they would be.
By definition, yeah.
Yeah, by definition, they would be improving price discovery. That isn't, but like I think maybe he or she just missed my spiel too. Doesn't mean I approve of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you should do heroin, but I don't think it should be illegal. Now, defending insider trading is a lot harder than defending my drugs because it is pretty slimy. But yeah, I think he should just have the employer decide what should happen to him. But like for us, like all that stuff's just philosophy. Who cares? Like most people are going to disagree with me on most of the things I say, but whatever. That one they're definitely going to disagree with. The problem is what's going to happen if Congress does get involved.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what'll happen. Like,
their reaction they will not understand the mechanics. Like whatever their reaction to it will be disproportionate to whatever is happening.
Yeah, they have no clue what's going on. It'll be, theater, and the interest groups that have their ear do not want crypto to succeed or, in the way we would want it to, is the people who are interested in it. So they're gonna use it to go, we need to regulate this. We need to regulate this, right? And like what happens when they regulate it? It honestly could be a good thing for Opensea eventually after they get fucked here for a little bit.
Yeah, Gerardo asking. They released a statement. It seemed they did not make any promises to fire this guy. As I understood it, I was reading another thread about how Opensea in general has some kind of like PR issues. They don't really have a forward-facing guy, and I guess this guy Nate was like one of their best like public liaisons. Like he was the like public face of a lot of stuff in interacting with a lot of people in the community and onboarding these projects. So I think they're in like a tough place where if they take out that guy, then they're really left with nothing. So who knows what they're going to do. It doesn't seem like they're going to fire him as of now, but if the news stories get so big, like a head might just have to roll.
That's probably what'll happen if it blows up big enough. And it's a juicy story, so it probably will. But like speaking of Congress, is then they will regulate it, and then what will normally happen is, just like with DraftKings or any other industry, they'll go, okay, 2 years from now or something. Well, in order to maintain these new security measures, we have to do all these things. So you can't just let any fly-by-the-night NFT company start. They need to adhere to these regulations that cost an arm and a leg, right? This is your guys' idea. We're doing it. They have to too. It happens over and over again, year in, year out. And so the barrier of entry for competition goes up and up. And then you're left with 3 shitty outcomes. Your return on your investment is going to drop to like a savings account right now, 0.05% or whatever. And we all suffer for it because of this asshole. Or not because of him, just because there's selfish slime balls in every industry.
Yeah.
And the idea that they're gonna protect you from getting scammed or this stuff happening in the future is laughable. They don't have the bandwidth or the knowledge to accomplish that at all. It's all an illusion.
Yeah. It's like you mentioned the amount of, headaches and regulatory headaches that this guy Nate is going to bring on to his employer here. They would have given him 100 ETH raise to never do this stuff. It's just like the downside risk of what he did, relative to what I talked about this last night. I assume he has stake in a multi-billion-dollar company. I assume he has an incredible wage. I assume he was already in early on NFTs and made a shitload. It's like it's so reckless and dumb for the payoff. So
stupid. And on the blockchain, it's like there's a literal paper trail, not a literal paper trail. There's a better than a paper trail, a digital trail, and you're throwing it all down for what? Does anyone know how much he actually made off of it?
I mean, they were saying like in the blockchain they were looking at. I mean, these were just flips of like 1 ETH or 2 ETH at a time. How many times he did it, I don't know, but. Like even if we put it at like 100 ETH, which is a lot of money, but not a lot of money relative to being a stakeholder in a multi-billion-dollar company.
And that might go away.
Right.
Yeah,
it could have wiped out everything.
Yeah. I mean, if you have like criminal plausible clause, who knows? Maybe they have an out. Get them out. No, it's damn shit.
No, I think
penguin.
I think you bring up in general though, it's a good thing we get caught up in the euphoria of these hype cycles, whether it's crypto, whether it's NFTs, and I do think it's very important to keep in mind in the back of your head the stuff that you are constantly talking about, how especially when you have these scandals and the attention and the things that could come and the ripple, trickle down effects that it could have on the markets, on the assets that you've been investing in, flipping, whatever. I mean, it's scary when this stuff happens because that hammer can come down quick.
Here's another one. Influencers. I see this a lot. NFT influencers. Is it okay that they benefit? Is it okay that they pump? It's like there's a big difference between having a moral judgment on someone else and making a gigantic news story that brings Congress in. Right? So like I would say like, okay, if you pump and dump some NFT project or something, you're a scumbag. But like if we go insane and constantly ask for, like, oh, this is horribly unfair, and these news stories keep popping up, be careful what you wish for. And here's another thing too, is that the illusion of the state protecting you here in these scenarios, these things they know nothing about and don't have the bandwidth to protect you. The illusion, it leads people to go, oh, this is a website on the internet, I'm probably safe. Not everyone. It would be much better, though, if you just knew, like, you're taking a risk by engaging in business on any of these sites. And then just assess the risk yourself and either do it or don't, or do it a smaller amount or more, however you see fit. Because the results that are going to come from it, just the way it's always worked, is not going to be something you want. It's going to be a worse product.
Yep. Yeah. Jeremy says Top Shot employees were restricted from buying and selling. And that was before like it came out that some of those guys had big wallets from early on. They were actually encouraging their employees to participate as they kind of worked out the product and stuff. I think Opensea should probably have something similar as a condition of employment if they have this information they could use. I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's what I would do. Yeah. I mean, I don't see how many times are these startups going to have to do this where they have their employees use their product and it causes a big controversy. Like, it seems pretty obvious standard operating procedure. It's like, sorry, you can't play.
That was a good Lolz episode. We got to pick Brian's brain about DFS, about Sims, talk a little football strategy, talk a little Opensea scandal in the state. What the state wants you to not know is they're coming for your NFTs. Anything else, Brian, before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so. I'm still trying to get my prop app working. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, guys, still not done. Hopefully it finishes before tomorrow's game. Yep. But yeah.
Well,
we got Discord, we got pod. We'll be uploading shortly, and we're still working on a sports betting episode. Do people even care about sports betting?
Dude, I go back and forth on that all the time. Like, I feel like sports betting content is just like so hard to do right. I don't know. I legitimately would you guys like to see us do a sports betting episode? We wanted to get a guest. Because I think we should do 1 week where we do like a very sports betting heavy episode, and then you could come on like my Friday show and we could do like more DFS stuff on that show, but do like a full sports betting. But man, it's tough. The stuff that I like about sports betting content, I like futures content, for more like longer time horizon bets. I love like sweat show type stuff. We referenced the Darren Rovell sweating his ticket, getting real-time offers to cash out. Like, I like that stuff. But just like, I feel like the edge is the sites like our friends over at Bet the Prop, or like looking at your app and seeing where the lines and being really smart and savvy, and you got to move quickly, but I don't feel like it lends itself to content.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's more of that's why I think like once you do like evergreen stuff, like a 101 and then maybe like a 201 class, like couple kind of episodes, like what else is there besides live betting, like live streams and stuff? Yeah.
I almost feel like if I could do it in my perfect one, I see someone mentioning, like the underdog parlays, like they're parlays, like they're not going to be the strongest EV bets, but I feel like doing content that's like how to smartly have fun while betting. Like, that's kind of where I'm always at. Like, I know I'm not going to be grinding every micro edge. I don't have the time. I'm not going to be shopping 5 books, but what are the things I can do to be sharp while still being a casual sports bettor? And I know that's kind of wishful thinking, but I do think that's the majority of what people want.
Yeah. Yeah. And easy tools. I mean, that's what I want too. It's just like when I'm trying to line shop, it's like, oh my God. And I know like, and then some of these line shopping services are like delayed. And like, I'll go to the site and it's like, it's already changed. Like, you're behind. It's a pain in the ass. Jason says, can we get Ben the Better on? We tried.
We've tried, guys. He turned us down. I don't know, like if we could try again. Maybe things have simmered down. He still faves our tweets.
I don't think he does public appearances.
Yeah. I don't blame him. He gets a lot of shit on Twitter. Probably not his favorite thing to do. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Like Brian said, audio will be up later. You want to go prove yourself in Brian's Discord, make an application to be in the secret cash game chat. You could go do that. You can hop in the Deposit Kingdom Discord where Club NFTs is just swallowing everything whole. Pretty wild day in the NFT market. Stay safe out there. Do your own research, not financial advice. We love you. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.